You want to get D1 fans riled up in a second? Tell them that Wrath of the Machine is never coming back. For those who don't know, Wrath of the Machine was the last raid to be released in Destiny 1's lifespan. While Destiny 1 exists on both Xbox 360 and PS3, and Xbox One and PS4, it was only released on the latter consoles due to storage and performance restraints on the former consoles. Ever since Bungie started reprising raids from Destiny 1 for Destiny 2, many veteran players, myself included, have long since waited for any news about Wrath of the Machine coming back. Not a peep from Bungie. No speculation, no rumors, how most people are assuming the next raid will be Crota's End, which is literally Destiny 1's shortest raid. Or even worse, Leviathan from Destiny 2 base game could be coming back before Wrath. So, just like in my Twilight Garrison video, I just have to ask, what is stopping Bungie from bringing Wrath back? To the D2 players who are scratching their heads right now as to why I've spent the first 2 minutes of the video ranting about another raid coming back to Destiny 2, let me show you some of the things that made Wrath great in Destiny 1. First off, let's just talk about the raid for a second. Wrath is set in the old Cosmodrome, and yes, it's an extension of the current Cosmodrome we have in Destiny 2. It's more so treated like an add-on to the main Cosmodrome map, since you could travel between the two areas if you first flew into the Plaguelands, as it was called back then. I think more specifically, the beginning of Wrath is very well done. You spawn into the raid and just see this massive servitor eye that's been ripped open, and generators lining the outside of it. And then this fallen Archon priest named Vosik spawns in. He's immune, so you have to charge up the generators by dunking an empowering buff into them. This then spawns red balls that you could throw at Vosik to break his shield. Once the shield is broken, it's DPS time, and there was a slew of weapons you could use. Sleeper Simulant was popular for precision, otherwise rockets, or if you were crafty, you could use a Raise Lighter or Darkdrinker sword with a bubble. The speedrunners use Okay, I'm getting a bit carried away. Point is, the opening encounter was short, memorable, and very fun. The next part led you through a maze of pathways that had so many twists and turns that was very enjoyable to navigate. Many players used the secret chest route as it was easier to navigate it. After getting the chest, players would drop down into Vosik's domain, where the first boss encounter would start. Players were required to throw red balls again to break Vosik's shield to DPS him. I won't spoil too much, but this fight was very well done. After Vosik, there was another jumping puzzle with another secret chest. Once again, players used the route of the secret jumping puzzle to go faster. The next segment required you to stop a giant machine from breaking the Cosmodrome wall. This was called the Siege Engine activity. Players were required to take 3 engine parts and store them into the Siege Engine to repair it. Once that was done, players were able to see a phenomenal cutscene of the Siege Engine falling into the water below. After this was on to Axis, the leader of the Archon priests. This encounter was split into 2 parts. The first part required you to disable the shield surrounding Axis. The second encounter was then fighting Axis himself. I think the best part of this encounter was the DPS phase. There was so much movement that you had to be on your feet instead of standing in one place. Every person had a role, and if done correctly, it was an easy 2-phase for most teams. Plus, you had the best music in the whole game. Take a listen. Now, as good as the raid is, we haven't even got to the weapons yet. If you like the video so far, leave a like and a sub. It helps. First off, Steel Medulla, a pulse that was reminiscent of the Stranger's Rifle with its full auto capability. It had a perk where if you hit 3 bursts on a target, your 4th burst would do additional damage. This trait wasn't too special, but the gun itself felt great to use. People rave about this, but I believe that's just for nostalgia. Next up is Chaos Dogma. This scout rifle came with triple tap, which is already a perk in Destiny. However, its special perk called Triple Double would give you 2 bullets back instead of 1. A lot of people enjoyed this weapon because it was very good at long range primary DPS. Then there's Fever and Remedy, but we don't talk about that. It's in hand cannon. Just use Fatebringer if you want to use a good raid hand cannon. Next up is probably the best sniper besides the legendary ones you could get from the Crucible, the Ex Machina. This was a static sniper rifle that could get 4 bullets in the mag and had fantastic reload speed. This sniper was great for people who couldn't get the triple tap spray and play sniper back in Destiny 1. After that, there was Sound and Fury, a rocket launcher that could have up to 4 shots in the mag if reloaded correctly. The machine gun is called If Materia. It also had the triple double perk as well. Then there's Quantaplasm, which is an okay shotgun. The sidearm is called Zeal Vector, but we don't talk about that one either. And the one I've been waiting to talk about for so long, Genesis Chain. You want to talk about an overpowered auto rifle? This is it right here. This gun single-handedly destroyed the auto rifle meta in PvE. Its perk, Focus Fury, slowed down the rate of the fire of the gun when it was zoomed in, and on paper that doesn't sound too good. But its second perk, Focus Firefly, allowed this rifle to be the only auto rifle in the game that could roll with Firefly. This gun melted everything in its path. It was also the first gun I got from Wrath in the Machine, so I have some bias towards it. But once you had it, there was no going back. I probably have about 10 to 15,000 kills on Genesis Chain, but I love that gun. Besides the gun, this raid has many other achievements as well. I remember the first time I saw this raid being featured as a moment of the week for someone soloing Axis. I can't remember who. Tell me in the comments if you remember. But ever since I saw that clip, I knew I had to raid. It may not have been the first raid I did, but it got me into consistently raiding. Every time I think of Wrath, the guns, the armor, and the raid always stick in my mind. I would love for this raid to be brought back in full fashion, with nothing changed, except for streamlining the encounters, like King's Fall and Vault before it. But one day Bungie's gonna ask themselves, when are we gonna bring the good times back? And simply my answer to them is, why don't you start with Wrath? Thanks for watching.